For decades, the industry sold a glamorous image of its stars. But behind the glitz and lights, many actors were forced to hide who they really were, in order to survive in an era when being openly gay could end a career instantly. These stars shaped the industry, gave audiences unforgettable performances, and at the same time carried the heavy burden of keeping their private truths hidden. Before we get right into the video, please subscribe to the channel. Number 1. Ian Mckellen. Ian Mckellen may not be a Golden Age star in the strictest sense, but he embodies the struggles and triumphs of queer actors across generations. Known today as a proud advocate for LGBTQ+ rights, Mckellen didn't publicly come out until 1988, when he was already a respected stage and film actor. During his early career, whispers swirled, but like many before him, he kept quiet to avoid the backlash of a still intolerant industry. His eventual openness shocked some in Hollywood, but also inspired a new wave of acceptance. By the time he took on roles like Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings or Magneto in X-Men, his sexuality was no longer something hidden, but rather a celebrated part of his identity. What makes Mckellen's story compelling is how different it is from the actors of earlier decades. While other stars had to bury their truth under fabricated studio relationships, Mckellen got to live his later years authentically, making up for lost time. Number 2. Rock Hudson. Few stories embody Hollywood's closeted history like Rock Hudson's. The tall, strikingly handsome actor became the ultimate heartthrob of the 1950s and 60s, often cast as the perfect romantic lead. Women adored him, men wanted to be him, and studios protected him at all costs. But underneath the charm and masculine image, Hudson lived in fear of exposure. Rumors about his sexuality circled Hollywood, and while insiders knew the truth, the general public remained oblivious, thanks to carefully arranged relationships with women that were mostly for show. When Hudson was diagnosed with AIDS in the 1980s, the world finally confronted what had long been hidden. His illness forced his sexuality into the open, and while some reacted with shock, others showed deep compassion, seeing him as a human being rather than just a star. Hudson's coming out, though unintentional, shifted public conversation around both homosexuality and the AIDS crisis. His death in 1985 wasn't just a personal tragedy. It became a defining cultural moment, one that helped humanize the LGBTQ+ community in the eyes of mainstream America. Number 3. James Dean. James Dean remains one of Hollywood's biggest legends, a symbol of youth, rebellion, and tragic loss. With only 3 major films to his name, his legacy looms larger than life. But alongside his fame came whispers that Dean's personal life was far more complex than the public was led to believe. He had relationships with women, yes, but rumors of his affairs with men have never gone away. In fact, those close to him often hinted that Dean was bisexual, though the studio machine worked hard to bury any speculation. For fans, Dean's sexuality added another layer to his mysterious persona. Was he really the brooding rebel without a cause, or was he quietly wrestling with his own identity in a time when such struggles couldn't be spoken of openly? While he never lived long enough to publicly define himself, his rumored relationships with men, combined with his refusal to play by Hollywood's rules, paint a picture of a star who lived authentically in private, even if the world wasn't ready for it. Number 4. Tab Hunter. Tab Hunter was the classic 1950s dreamboat, blonde, blue-eyed, and tailor-made for magazine covers. Girls screamed for him, and studios leaned into his clean-cut, all-American image. But Tab carried a secret that could have destroyed everything. He was gay. Unlike some of his peers, Hunter later spoke openly about his struggles, admitting how difficult it was to balance stardom with the constant fear of exposure. For years, gossip columns hinted at the truth, but the studios fought back, arranging fake dates with starlets to keep his image intact. What makes Hunter's story remarkable is his eventual honesty. In his 2005 memoir, Tab Hunter Confidential, he laid it all out. The secret relationships, the pressure from Hollywood, and the toll of living a double life. By coming forward, he not only reclaimed his story, but also inspired a new appreciation for the sacrifices actors of his generation had to make. Number 5. Ramon Novarro. Ramon Novarro was one of the first big Latin heartthrobs in Hollywood, often described as the successor to Rudolph Valentino. In the silent film era, he was adored by fans for his looks and charm, but off-screen, he lived with the constant shadow of his sexuality. In an era when being gay was unthinkable in Hollywood, Novarro carefully concealed his relationships. The studio packaged him as a desirable leading man, but whispers of his private life never fully disappeared. Tragically, Novarro's story ended in one of Hollywood's most notorious scandals. In 1968, he was brutally murdered in his own home, reportedly by two men he had invited over. The press sensationalized his death, focusing heavily on his sexuality rather than his accomplishments as an actor. The incident shocked the public, exposing the darker reality of what it meant to be a closeted gay man in Hollywood at the time. Number 6. Robert Reed. Television audiences remember Robert Reed as the wholesome dad Mike Brady on The Brady Bunch. On screen, he was the picture of the perfect father and husband, but off-screen he was living a completely different life. Reed was gay, something he kept hidden throughout his career for fear of damaging his chances in Hollywood. Rumors swirled among insiders, but to the public, he was simply America's favorite dad. It wasn't until after his death in 1992, from complications related to AIDS, that the truth became widely known. Fans were stunned, not because they couldn't believe it, but because they realized the extent of the secrecy he had been forced to maintain. Reed's double life highlighted the suffocating pressures placed on gay actors in Hollywood, pressures that often robbed them of the chance to live freely. His legacy, however, remains intact, both as a beloved TV star and as a man whose personal struggles now resonate with greater understanding. Number 7. Dan Butler. Dan Butler may be best known for his role as Bulldog on the hit sitcom Frasier, a character that was the very embodiment of macho bravado. But Butler himself was quietly living a very different reality. While not as widely known as some of the other stars on this list, Butler's story speaks to the broader struggles of gay actors in Hollywood. For years, he played into the industry's expectations, avoiding any public discussion of his sexuality. Eventually, Butler came out, both personally and through his one-man play, The Only Thing Worse You Could Have Told Me, where he explored different perspectives on being gay. His honesty gave fans a deeper respect for him, showing how an actor could defy stereotypes and challenge assumptions. Unlike earlier stars who had to stay silent, Butler was part of a new wave of actors who began to reshape Hollywood's attitudes, proving that being openly gay didn't have to mean the end of a career. Number 8. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was one of the finest actors of his generation, celebrated for his raw, emotional performances in films like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity. But behind his intense screen presence was a man torn by secrets. Clift was rumored to have relationships with both men and women, but in an era that demanded conformity, he could never be open about his sexuality. His close friendship with Elizabeth Taylor fueled speculation, though most insiders knew the truth about his private life. Clift's struggles were compounded by a tragic car accident in 1956, which left him disfigured and reliant on painkillers and alcohol. His career never fully recovered, and his personal demons only grew worse. Many believe the pressures of hiding his sexuality played a role in his downward spiral. Clift's life remains one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking stories, a brilliant actor whose talent was undeniable, but whose private battles were made all the harder by the intolerance of his time. Number 9. Randolph Scott. Randolph Scott was Hollywood's cowboy king, starring in countless westerns that solidified his image as the rugged, stoic hero of the frontier. Audiences adored him, and studios played up his masculine appeal. But whispers about his private life followed him throughout his career, particularly his close relationship with fellow actor Cary Grant. The two men lived together for years, sparking endless rumors that they were more than just friends. While neither ever publicly confirmed the nature of their relationship, the speculation became part of Hollywood lore. Some saw them as a closeted couple forced to hide in plain sight, while others dismissed it as a friendship exaggerated by gossip. Regardless of the truth, Scott's private life remains a subject of fascination, especially when contrasted with the hyper-masculine roles he played on screen. His story shows just how wide the gap could be between Hollywood's carefully crafted images and the real lives of its stars. Number 10. Cary Grant. Cary Grant was the epitome of classic Hollywood charm. Suave, witty, and effortlessly elegant, he was the leading man everyone adored. But Grant's personal life was far more complicated than the smooth image he projected. Over the years, countless rumors surfaced about his sexuality, many centering on his longtime companionship with Randolph Scott. Photos of the two lounging around their shared beach house fueled speculation, though Grant would go on to marry multiple times, adding more layers of confusion to his story. For decades, Hollywood tried to maintain Grant's image as the ultimate ladies' man, but the whispers never stopped. Some biographers insist he was bisexual, others argue he was simply a private man unfairly scrutinized. Whatever the truth, Grant's life highlights the precarious tightrope that gay and bisexual actors had to walk in mid-century Hollywood. Despite the speculation, his career never faltered, and he remains one of the greatest stars of all time, though the question of his true private life continues to intrigue fans to this day.